Do you want your rubber plants to grow bigger leaves? Then I have some useful tips for you. So stay around, keep watching until the end of this video. Hello again, welcome to the channel. My name is Dina. I just want to update you guys on my Ficus Elastica plants, aka rubber plants. I am not an expert on rubber plants. This video is based on my experience in growing them. I want to share them with you and hopefully give you some tips to not only grow your rubber plants but also get them to grow bigger leaves, because that is the main reason why we got them, isn't it? Here's what I've learned so far. First of all, let me talk about soil or potting medium. To get the best growth from your plants, you have to have the right type of soil or potting medium. Too dense and the plant is at risk of getting root rot. Too chunky and the plant will not get enough moisture for bigger leaves. When I first started growing these plants, I learned that rubber plants prefer a well-draining and chunky mix. My interpretation of that is a simple mix of potting soil and perlite. But choosing the best mix for your rubber plant, I think, depends on your environment, how much light they get, how you water, and how often you water them. This is my burgundy rubber plant with very dark leaves, almost black. It wasn't a mix of potting soil and perlite, but I later added some pine bark. I thought the mix were not chunky enough. Let me add some pine bark. Turned out that it wasn't the best mix after all. The chunky mix dried out quickly. The result? My burgundy has grown tall, but it has smaller leaves. It looks skinny, it does not have enough width from the leaves. Some of the leaves look dry and curling as well. Look at the variegated rubber plants, the ruby and tineke. They stayed in the same simple mix of potting soil and perlite. The potting medium is chunky enough and holds just enough moisture, and in turn, they have wider leaves. I've learned to keep the soil mix simple, and if the plant is performing its best, there's no need to complicate it. Next is light. These plants love lots of light to get bigger leaves. I give them as much light as I can. They need to be in the front seat of a window that gets bright indirect light. But harsh afternoon sun can burn the leaves, so I position them a bit further from an area that gets harsh afternoon sun. My plants are getting natural light for about 10 to 12 hours a day. I suggest 12 hours of grow light for great results if you're using one. Variegated rubber plants need more light compared to non-variegated plants to keep the sunning patterns on the leaves. The tineke has a lot of whites on the leaves. They look amazing. With my ruby, the leaves are so much wider now, but the reds are not deep enough, not like this. This spectacular specimen was sold at my local garden center, but I can see the potential of my ruby right there. So I position the plant in an area where it gets some gentle, direct morning sun to get that deep red color. Keeping the wide leaves clean is also important so the plant can absorb as much light as it can. Either I wipe the leaves with a clean cloth or gently spray them with water. A regular maintenance is a key. And finally, how I water my rubber plants. I water them in the morning. This is important, especially in the colder months when the potting mix takes longer to dry out. And I water them when the soil feels dry. This is roughly once a week in the summer. I also learned to water them thoroughly. I found out I was not doing that when I got them into clear pots, and I could see large dry areas after I watered them. This summer, I also leave the pots in the tub of water, letting the roots really soak up the water for up to 20 minutes. And that is how I got bigger leaves on my rubber plants. I think next spring I can prune the burgundy to give it a fuller look, and the next time I repot it will be back to just potting soil and some perlite mix. Giving the plants adequate nutrition is important as well. I'm using a wee concentration of liquid fertilizer for my plants. And that is all for today. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and find it helpful. If you do, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment, press the bell icon, and I'll see you again in the next video.